Kevin?
Sully, how are you?
Struggling, man, struggling. I'm
Struggling?
I'm
You,
repeating myself, saying two words that sound I don't know what's going on here. I need a quick timeout. We just had a timeout.
take a 30-second and get yourself together.
So what's happening, man?
Hey, we're just getting ready to wrap up this high school basketball season and get ready for the springtime. So one more game left on the docket. Tomorrow's Tournament of Champions final, and then we'll take a deep breath and get ready for some baseball.
Now, will you be heading up to that game, even though you're mostly South Jersey coverage guy?
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm there. I'm part of the basketball team. So
Gotcha.
Whether South Jersey had one representative or 20 representatives, didn't matter. I'm there the whole time.
Gotcha. So we're looking at Roselle Catholic, number 1 team in the state, going up against number 3 Don Bosco. Roselle Catholic beat Nottingham, and Bosco ended Shawnee's great postseason run. Tell us about this Shawnee team. We had a feeling they'd be pretty good come postseason time, and they lived up to the hype.
Yeah, they absolutely had a great season, and like we talked after the game with Joe Kessler and a couple of the kids, and you talk to anybody really that's playing in the Tournament of Champions, that ultimately only one team in the state goes home with a win after their final game, whether you're a state champion or not. So, Shawnee had a heck of a season. I think a lot of people talk about the fact that they had they had everybody coming back, and I think everybody had thought this team had great expectations, and certainly they lived up to them. The fact that they didn't have two kids in Sean Hine and Pat Kernan they didn't have Pat Kernan all season, dynamite ball handler, and obviously would have taken a lot of pressure off of Dean Knoll. And Sean Hine hurt his knee a couple games into the season. So, I think, we've talked a lot throughout the season about Shawnee and the fact that those two kids weren't there, and this team was really having a great year. I think the fact that these two kids didn't play, that can go on the back burner because they were gone most of the season. So for people to kind of say, like, look what Shawnee did without those two starters. Well, I understand that to a degree, but at the same time, they really never had them. So, that team, the way that they went through the season with those basically playing 6-7 kids max most of the time, especially in key situations, they had a great year. and they Dean Knoll, really did a nice job of leading this team from playing the point guard spot and doing the things he did, and Dylan DeVenny and his brother Connor, shooting from, the next town over and hitting jump shots that were hitting nothing but the bottom of the net. I mean, literally, they very rarely even touched the rim. And these kids are shooting 25-foot jumpers like it's nothing. So, kudos to Shawnee. Obviously, a great season. They ran up against a Don Bosco team that, they were right there for most of the time. I think they got a little tired in the second and fourth quarters in that game the other night, but nothing to drop your head about. Nobody wants to end a season with a loss, but at the same time, no one will take away 29 wins and a state championship. So, a great season for Shawnee.
So, Kevin, how do you like your new gig? I know you took over in, I guess, early January, right, with NJ Advanced Media, and a little different. You got to kind of keep your eyes and ears open to teams in, Middlesex and Bergen and all over the state.
Yeah, we started on the 2nd of January, so we're a little bit more than 2 full months into it, and it's been for me, it's been great so far, and I think it's going to continue to be that way. When you have to, really my focus, and I do put the bulk of my attention on what's going on in South Jersey, because that's kind of my job. I do it with a statewide mentality and keeping in mind, what's going on throughout the state. But the majority of what I'm supposed to do is to be the voice for South Jersey on a statewide basis, and I think so far so good with that. I'm really thrilled with the reaction we've been getting, in South Jersey, with people, enjoying what we're doing, enjoying what I've been doing, and kind of giving South Jersey more of a presence on the website, in the polls, in the weekly rankings, in lists and things along those lines. And, I kind of think maybe some of the things that we've been able to do that, in the past they probably didn't touch on as deeply as what we're going to do now and what we have done and will continue to do. So, from that aspect, it's been really great.
Kevin, how much different is it from the time you spent at the Courier-Post, because you're now writing for a little bit of a wider fan base? You're getting read by people up in North Jersey and down at the shore and really all over. Have you kind of had to change your approach when you're writing stories or anything like that, or has it been just kind of like, hey, this is how I am as a writer, and hope everybody likes it, that kind of thing?
I don't think I've changed too much. I think sometimes I catch myself, especially in games that are involving teams from both regions, like these Tournament of Champions games recently and statewide games. And even though when it comes time to kind of divvy up the work that we do for a specific game, because we're doing so many different things about one game, that sometimes I kind of get lost in that I'm focusing on the South Jersey team because I'm so used to doing that.
Right.
And I'm learning, and I continue to learn. That I have to kind of blend in both, because that's the audience now. It's not a Shawnee Don Bosco game for me in the past would have been strictly a South Jersey story, and probably that would have probably been it. But having to do different things and get both teams involved and realize that the audience is now not just South Jersey, it's everybody, is sometimes I have to stop and think about that, because it had been, for 30 years it had never really been that way. But I don't think I've changed my approach to things. I've changed my style of things. I think I'm the biggest part of my job, or big part of my job, is to be the voice for South Jersey. So maybe stories may have a slight South Jersey edge to them, or an angle to them, because that's kind of what I'm supposed to be doing to a degree. But so far so good with everything. I think the balance has been there. I think getting back out there and doing things and really trying to get South Jersey a bigger factor in things, I guess, has really worked well, and I look forward to continuing that when the spring starts.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. And Kevin, I guess one of the cool things about what you're doing now is you get to meet coaches from different areas, players from different areas. I mean, a guy like myself who's covering mainly Atlantic Cape May counties, I rarely even get to speak to anybody from a Camden Catholic or something like that, because even if I'm covering a game, I'm not really worried about talking to anybody from Camden Catholic, because everybody who reads Glory Days wants to hear about Holy Spirit. So I guess that's one of the cool things. You get to meet all these new coaches and players from different parts of the state.
Yeah, you have a different kind of perspective, and like you said, you for yourself, you're writing for a specific audience, and that's the way it is. And but with this one, a little bit more, it's a little different. And I've you see some different people, you meet different people, and especially when it comes time to the tournament time. Regular season, kind of still the same way a little bit, because you're really focused on South Jersey, but maybe a showcase or in-state tournament somewhere where you're going to meet different people. You see some different people. I mean, I remember, just really off the top of my head, one of the first games I think I even did for NJ Advance was it down at the Seagull Classic, and one of the first kids I talked to was a kid by the name of Tavon Jones at Linden, and this kid was, if people didn't don't know Tavon Jones, you can go to the website and see this kid was a fabulous player and is going to be, highly considered when it comes to all state teams and stuff. So, you meet some different people, you get some different perspectives. I think people have really embraced me and welcomed me when I go up to them and tell them, who I am and what I'm doing, and I'm kind of just starting out here. And they've always been encouraging, they've been welcoming, they've been warm and especially cooperative. I haven't run into somebody yet who's kind of giving me a hard time with things. So it's worked out extremely well. And when you look in the past, you looked at it from a South Jersey side, and you kind of had perceptions about how things were in different places, and in the north and things. And I think a perfect example is when I saw Roselle Catholic for the first time, and I just watched the way they play. And in the past, you've always kind of had this perception, it's basketball is played a little bit different in the north than it is in the south, and it clearly is. But when I watched Roselle Catholic play Ranney, for the B state final, that it just showed me how basketball is such a completely different animal in the north than it is in the south. And you get this. I've got an opportunity to kind of see those kind of differences so far, even in just a little bit of a sample that I've been able to witness. But it's a great opportunity. And I had a meeting the other day with the vice president of content, and I told him that. I said, this is an opportunity that I am extremely grateful that I have. And it's only been 2.5 months, but I'm usually at this point in time, at the end of a season, you get a little burned out, you get a little tired, you need a couple of days to kind of regenerate or regroup and stuff. And after this season right now, I don't feel that way. I'm as eager now for the start of the spring season as I was when I jumped on board, a month into the basketball season. So I think it's been a great ride, and I'm looking forward to everything that happens in the future.
Well, Kevin, continue success with your work, and we certainly appreciate you being a loyal guest to our show and providing such great insight for South Jersey high school sports fans. Been a pleasure, and we'll check back with you in the football season.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the fall, but I've always enjoyed being on the show, since it started way back when, and then obviously since you've taken over. So, hopefully good things will continue to come when the fall rolls around.
Well, there's always an appetite for high school sports, so we'll definitely come up with some different things going forward, especially with Glory Days. So we'll have plenty to talk about.
Hey, it sounds good. Like I told you before, way back when, high school sports is not going to go away. It will. Unless they decide to say we're not playing sports in high school. High school sports will always be there, and there will always be something to talk about.
You can't give people enough, man. The more you give them, the more they want. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
Great stuff, Kevin. We appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, so you too. Thanks again.
That was Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media.